So the magic wand and quick selection tools are located under the fourth button, hidden panel. So that's right over here. There we go. Both of these tools sort of do the same thing, but they behave a little differently. They both select colors with a single click, but instead of manually placing the borders with your cursor, it kind of automatically highlights it. So we'll start with the magic wand just to kind of give you an idea as to what it does. So magic wand, and I'm simply, I forgot to deselect that chair, so let's deselect that chair. Control D. And with the magic wand, I'm going to, let's highlight under here, right here in this little open space of the chair. Just click once. Wow, look at that. That's super crazy. It selected a lot of things. So again, the magic wand is good for wherever you click, wherever the center of that cursor is that you click. It's going to read what that pixel is, and then it's going to find that pixel in the immediate area that you worked in. So it picked up a lot of white pixels, and the reason why is because this is a really white picture. So we can control the tones that Photoshop will pick up with the magic wand up here in the options bar where you see tolerance. So 32 is a really good general number to have to start out with, but like you said, it picks up a lot of stuff that you necessarily weren't intending to. So the lower the number, the less tonal values it will pick up, so the less white tones it will pick up. The higher the number, the more shades and tonal values of the color you picked will highlight. So let's give this a try. I'm going to Control D. Let's go up here and change tolerance to 10. Restart the command, come back over to that area, click. Oh, you see how differently it picked. So it's really truly just picking colors of the same tonal value within a smaller area. So I'm going to Control D, and let's do 50 just to show you what it's going to do. It's going to go crazy, I'm telling you. Click the magic wand command, do it one more time, and there it picked up a lot more. So with the magic wand, you really need to pay attention to tolerance. You might have to do a lot of adjusting before you actually get what you want to highlight. It is a little bit scattered and it is a little bit all over the place, so it might not be the right tool for whatever job that you want to do. There's other tools, including the quick selection tool. So let's Control D, deselect, and let's find that hidden panel and choose the quick selection tool. This tool also selects pixels based on color, but it also looks for borders as well. So to start this tool, you just click once, and hey, look at that. It pretty snugly found the borders of the chair, right? Now my brush size was pretty big because you can see that the circle compared to the rest of the chair is pretty big. I can actually change the size of that by coming up to the options bar and selecting a size. So here we go, we're going to make it a little bit smaller. Let's make it like 7. And you can see that it actually got smaller on my screen. I'm going to deselect, and I also want to show you an area because I didn't realize I had it set this way, but you see that there's a plus sign. So that means you can add to the selection that has already been done. What you really want to start drawing with is this one, where it doesn't have a plus or a minus, it's just the brush and the selection. You can kind of see what it's doing. So with a smaller brush, I'm just going to click once, and again it did pick it up. If I want to add, you can see that it automatically turned it back to add, and I can now add selections outside of that, but you have to be careful because sometimes it likes to join sections. So Control Z to undo that. You can also hold Shift and it will add selections. And you can also click and drag, and as you click and drag, you can see how you can have maybe just a little bit more control than just clicking once in the area that you want. You can also see that it gives a very precise and smooth finish. And when you get into some angled stuff, sometimes it's a little ragged, but it's still pretty darn good. So you can just continue shifting and holding. Oh, and there it kind of got the table, so I just Control Z and kind of go back. It's a little bit of a back and forth, and the reason why it's doing that is because there's not as much tonal difference in the borders here between the table and the wall as we start moving up. So maybe I'll just leave it right there for right now. But you can see how the quick selection tool can actually help you select things very quickly and very efficiently with very little effort. And in fact, both the magic wand and quick selection tools help you select larger areas. It makes it easier than trying to trace these large areas that may have some very complicated borders to deal with. The magic wand is best to use when trying to select solid colors with very little tonal variation, and the quick selection tool is really great to help you select areas that have clear borders. So let's look at another way that we can use these two tools to help us select things. So I am now going to switch pictures to the person that I have on the white background. And my goal here is going to be to select her so that I can move her onto another picture. Now I'm not actually going to move her just yet. There's another video for that kind of technique, but I at least want to select her and her shadow in preparation for the move. Half of the battle when learning Photoshop is to know what technique to use to achieve the effect that you really want to have in the end. So you need to problem solve a little bit. And in order to do that, you need to be aware of another option that is available to you. It's a little trick that I use. It's called an inverse selection. And basically what it means is you select one area first and then tell Photoshop to actually select the opposite area. So we have this nice white background, right? That should be super easy to select using what tool? Probably the magic wand is going to be the easiest. So I have the magic wand selected. I'm going to go ahead and click here, which I got it pretty good. If I kind of double check the perimeter of her, I mean, it's picking up her shadow, and that's fine. It's going around her hair. Yeah, we're okay. I think we've got the majority of her selected. It's perfect for this demonstration. Notice too that the marching ants are around the border of the picture, so that indicates that the background is selected, but I really want her selected. So to do the inverse, what I'm going to do is go up to select in the menu bar, and I'm going to choose inverse. Or you can hit Shift Control I on the keyboard if you like shortcuts on the keyboard. And you'll notice that the marching ants are no longer around the perimeter of the white background, but now they're along the perimeter of her. Fancy, fancy. So I have taught you how to select objects and colors, generally selecting and then more snugly selecting them. It's now your job to not only master these techniques, but to also use that brain of yours to determine what method works best to achieve your final outcome. So this is going to take practice on your part, and it takes experiencing the art of selection. Find what works best for you. I can't really teach you how to do that. You have to find it for yourself. And the last thing I want to do is show you how to save an image as a JPEG, PNG, and a TIFF. But before I do that, let me show you how to save this file so that you can come back and work on it in Photoshop. So go up to File and go to Save As, and you'll notice that you can kind of see where you had originally saved the pictures that you uploaded into Photoshop. There's two types of files. There's an image file that you can save, and then there's the actual Photoshop file that you can save. And it's super important to know to save both if you want to continue working in Photoshop. So to save the Photoshop file, come down here and see where it says Photoshop, and then it has PSD, PDD, or PSDT. Those are the file types that you can save. Just go ahead and choose Photoshop, and then go ahead and save that particular file. So now when I go to File and Open, you should still see the two image files, but here is the actual Photoshop file. And what that does is it saves all the layers, and you don't know anything about that yet, but trust me when I say you need to keep a Photoshop file of anything that you work on so that you can come back and manipulate as you need to. So that's how you save a Photoshop file. I'm going to hit cancel, and now I'm going to show you how to save this image as a picture file. So JPEG, PNG, or TIFF. I'm going to change her up a little bit just because I want her to be a little bit different from the picture that I originally saved. So I'm actually going to do an adjustment to her. So image, adjustment, let's make her black and white. There we go. I mean, I like the way that that just turned out, so I'm just going to hit OK. So now she's black and white. I'm going to do a Control D to deselect her. You don't have to do that necessarily to make a JPEG file or PNG or TIFF, but I just like to do it. Then I'm going to come up to File, and we're going to do Save As again. This time I want you to notice that you can do a JPEG format, you can do a PNG format, you can also do a TIFF format. So you might need to refer back to the last video to make sure that you understand the difference between those three. But all you need to do to save a picture is go to File, Save As, and choose the image file. Now there's a JPEG 2000 and a JPEG stereo. I don't use either of those two. I just use the basic JPEG. There's also the PNG file, PNG, and the TIFF file. So I'm just making sure that you understand there's all different kinds of things that you can choose to make this image as. Maybe you even want to do a Pixar file. Oh my goodness, look at that. You can also do a PDF file, and sometimes your instructor or your boss might want that, which is right here at the Photoshop PDF. Well, I just want to turn this into a JPEG at the moment, so I'm going to click on JPEG, and I'm going to rename her as maybe black and white. And then I hit save, and a final window pops up. So anytime that you go to make an image file, there's always going to be a secondary window that pops up where you can actually finalize the format. So quality wise, if you want a larger file, the quality is much better when they're larger. You can also kind of go down and you can see what's a medium file, what's a low file. Resolution gets a little bit worse as you go smaller. It gets better as you go higher. So we'll just do the maximum 12 quality. And you can always do a preview if you want to. And I don't really use too much of these with JPEG, so I just usually keep it where it's at, and then I click OK. So now when I go to File, Open, you should now see the black and white version, and it's saved as an image file. And you can always check it by hovering your mouse over the picture, and it gives you a little synopsis as to what size it is, what type of file it is, what date you went about, as well as the dimensions in pixels. So I'm going to hit cancel, and let's just go through and do a TIFF as well. So save as, come down here and do a TIFF. I'm not going to rename it. And you'll notice that things went away. It's only because it's trying to find other TIFF pictures that you have done previously. So I haven't done any TIFF pictures previously, so there's nothing showing. So I'm still going to hit save. I generally don't do anything when I save TIFFs and at this point, so you can go ahead and click OK. And again, I'm going to open up. And you're going to see that I do have two black and white pictures, and you can't really tell the difference between the two until you hover over one of them. Here's the JPEG, and here's the TIFF file. The last one I want to show you, I'm going to cancel, is the PNG. And I just want to show you how to make sure that the transparency, if you do have a transparent background, how to actually keep it transparent. Because sometimes if you don't do this one little step and you try to put a transparent background into another picture, it actually comes up white. So go to File, Save As. I'm going to do PNG this time because PNG is the one that manages the transparency. Hit save, and you need to check interlacing. You can do any of these sizes, I believe, but you just have to make sure that interlacing is checked in order for the transparency to stick to the picture, and then hit OK. And of course we haven't done a transparency, that's another video, but I'm just going to open up that area again. We now have 3 black and white pictures, JPEG, PNG, and TIFF. Well, you learned a lot about selection. It's really important for you to just start getting experience and playing around and experimenting with the software. Well, in this video series, you learned how to open up an image format. You learned a little bit about what types of image formats are available. You learned how to select things, and you learned how to save not only an image file, but also how to save a Photoshop file.